Sometimes if we cut across to our, studio conversations, they're quite fascinating. So Kunal has a theory on what exactly?
Yeah, the
Yellow
markets,
color.
the markets.
No, but are we in for a trend rally now? That is, I think, the most important point. I mean, are we in for what typically could be called as a solid Christmas rally?
Yeah, so I think Christmas rally could be at play. We were making this point yesterday also, Nikunj, that I don't expect the markets to correct very sharply, even though yesterday was one of day where the indices corrected. But you look at the context of the market or the different asset classes, dollar index is now sub 106 levels. So that's one of the major reasons why our markets had fallen very sharply. Now, if that asset class continues to get into a downtrend, there's no reason why our markets would further get into a corrective mode, and there's bound to be a point where the market stabilizes. What we are seeing today is an exact stabilization for the indices. So yes, the Nifty is outperforming the Bank Nifty. The market breadth in the last 2 days, even yesterday and today, the market breadth has been a lot more positive. Mid caps are seeing follow through price action. There is breakout. There are volumes, volume participations, which is what we're seeing as a pattern for many stocks, and that is generally a sign of risk appetite coming back. So I'm not sure whether this phenomenon is going to last for the entire 1 month, but it looks like that the markets are getting into a stabilization phase. And I think even if that happens for the next 1 or 2 weeks, we are good for a December rally, at least for many of the stocks as well as sectors.
Okay, December rally indeed. Let's see, but let's put the spotlight on some of the stocks and news as well, starting with, of course, what's happening to some of the Adani group of companies. They are bouncing back. So a green, transmission, energy solutions, all of that will come up for you on the screen. All of those stocks holding up comfortably. Airtel is the one which is in focus. ICICI Securities has upgraded the stock to a buy versus an add. So that stock is up a solid 5%. And you also have Z Entertainment in focus, wherein shareholders have rejected Puneet Goenka to be appointed back as the director. So that stock is in focus as well. Naresh, let me come to you on a couple of these. Airtel and Z Entertainment. Would you hazard a punt here on either of the names?
So Bharti looks interesting for the fact we saw a decent correction, corrected from 1800 down to almost 1500, 1530. Today it has crossed the last few days highs and has shown good relative momentum. So expecting it to slowly scale back towards 1750. Z is a risk reward trade purely from the fact that the stock has bottomed out around that 115.20 mark, which was the March 20 lows. And we are seeing some announcements out there. But one would be better off keeping a strict stop loss at 120. And if this trade plays out, it could go towards 140, 150 also.
Dhananjay Sinha, what do you make of the current market action? What appeared stormy is now appearing quite charged up. Hello, he's on phone. Okay, never mind. I can see him on the phone, maybe some calls going on there. Kunal, for Adani group of stocks, let's look at that data. Most of the stocks have recovered from that mid-air turbulence. Even a stock like Adani Green, I think is just 5-6% off from where it was last Wednesday. So has the storm come and gone? And when you emerge from a storm, you only emerge stronger.
Yeah, you emerge stronger. And yes, I think Adani Energy Solutions, Adani Green, Enterprise, I think these 3-4 names which we looked at the charts. Yes, these stocks have recovered and covered the gap and closed the gap which was created on that day when these stocks sold off by 15-20% and more, and subsequently over the next 1 or 2 days when these stocks had seen a sell-off. And the more encouraging point is that the volumes today are on the much higher side. So on the way down, the volumes were lesser. On the way up, the volumes are much more higher for these names. And so, one attribute could be that, some of these names have come back into the F&O space. The other could be that there's been good buying which has happened to these stocks. And we've been accustomed to this V-shaped recovery for many of the Adani group of names. I would still not venture into buying the Adani, green, transmission gas, etc. But I think if there's one stock which traders can look at a bet, I think could be Adani Ports.
Okay, Adani Ports is that opportunity to perhaps bet on. But pharma stocks are doing quite okay today in the trading session, whether it's a Divi's Lab, whether it's a Torrent Pharma, whether it's Cipla, Alchem, Sun Pharma, Lupin, Syngene, all of these stocks are up. The top gainers in the F&O as far as universe is concerned. From the top 10, quite a few are in the pharma vertical. Dhananjay, if you can hear us now, what's the view on pharma and what names would you recommend from the pack?
So I think pharma is something that we have been positive on, and I think that there is good amount of traction happening there. See, the names that we have are basically Cipla is something that's top on the chart for us, followed by Sun and Orchid. So Orchid in particular, we are expecting a significant rise in the EBITDA over the next 4 years, and because of the product mix that is changing. So I think those are the stocks that we sort of like in the pharma space. We also have Pfizer, which we have been holding on for some time. So I think these are the stocks that we have in our preference list.
Here are some thoughts from Ashish Gupta on CDMO and why he's bullish about CDMO and which are some of the companies in CDMO. Well, you got a Divi's, you got a Loris, to some extent Piramal Pharma as well.
Within pharma, we are still not very constructed on the generic segment. I think some of the CDMO plays is really where there is more excitement.
BPCL is making a comeback. There is strong comeback which is coming back in Loris, and there is definitely a comeback which is getting. There is definitely a comeback which I think is visible in top pharma names here. Dhananjay, pharma sector per se is growing at 7-8%. Valuations are 30, 35, 40, even 50 times in select pharma. If
Sure.
top line is in single digit, not even double digit, what is this excitement all about?
So I think these are, you see, in the in the pharma space, it is actually very case to case basis. It's not a very generic view one can actually take as an industry. So I think it is to do with various molecules and formulations that are there. So it has to be specific to the factors that are sort of that are there in terms of the businesses that these guys are actually having. So it has to be very case to case basis. So I just talked about Orchid, for instance. We are looking at a significant rise in terms of the EBITDA that they could actually generate for the next 4 years. So it could multiply. It could multiply in the next 4 years. I think it is. Our analyst is basically saying that it could rise by almost like 3 times. So it's specific to the specific stock that we are looking at. So I don't think we should look at a generic industry story. Apart from that, I think what is also relevant is that in terms of the portfolio flows, portfolio allocation, there does seem to be a lesser risk out there. Visibility in terms of the outlook is stronger, whereas other components, major components such as BFSI, such as people have concerns on consumers, people have concerns on metals, etc. So I think also I would say the high growth sectors such as infrastructure, cement, etc. Those are actually seeing a significant downdraft as far as the performance concerned. So there does seem to be a sort of an allocation there's an allocation bias also that is happening in favor of the pharma stocks.
Allocation bias is indeed quite visible, but what about Bharti Airtel? Have you been tracking that one closely, Dhananjay? There was at one point of time the ARPU is going to go up, and of course all of that assumptions were being made. Then it went a bit quiet, but it seems they're getting re-rated again at $1,600 a piece.
So I think people are betting on higher tariff rates and all. I think in terms of the utilization and data consumption, etc. I think those stories are behind us. So I think for the telecom, it is largely to do with the tariff hike expectation that people have, and I think the competition on the pricing side is much lesser. So I think that price action is something that is sort of a major driver for the telecom companies.
Okay, so hold that thought. In fact, on that note, we'll slip into a very short break, but when we come back, we'll be discussing a whole host of stocks, so don't go anywhere. Well, it might be a green screen or a red screen. It doesn't really matter because the most important thing is that it's a Black Friday. So the sales are on across Mumbai and across the globe, to be honest. It's that one retail phenomenon wherein a lot of these attractively priced goods are available. And my colleague Anjali is right there at the ground zero at a mall to help us understand what exactly are the sales which are going on. And more importantly, what's been the feedback and the mood check on the ground. Anjali, take it away.
We are here at Phoenix Palladium Mall in Mumbai, where shoppers are coming in big numbers to make the most out of the Black Friday sale weekend. Now, this tradition started off in the West and where brands participate in this sale on the first Friday after Thanksgiving. And now this tradition has come to India, where we will also see Amazon participating in the Black Friday sale for the very first time this year. Starting from the Friday and extending up to the end of the weekend, brands across categories such as electronics, beauty, apparel, footwear, lifestyle are all holding Black Friday sales. Here at Phoenix Palladium, we are seeing that even premium brands such as Coach, Emporio Armani, Diesel, Guess are all holding Black Friday sale. There is a lot of consumer excitement, and there is surely an increase in footfall than a usual day at the mall, and is expected to continue till the end of the weekend, when we will see more shoppers come in and make the most out of this shopping bonanza.
Okay, so I know where I'm headed at 3:30 p.m. Thankfully, tomorrow is a Saturday, so I don't have to kind of fake a sick leave there.
You have a shift tomorrow. Check your roster.
Not tomorrow, not this weekend. I know where I'm busy this weekend.
Tomorrow's duty anchor has called up, so they've requested you to come and fill in. And I'm
Would
sure
you fill
duty
in
calls.
for me?
Duty calls.
Would you fill in for me?
I do use the power of being an editor to pass on the buck.
It's okay. You need to make the money to spend it, so might as well then come if that's the case. But nonetheless, what do you think, Dhananjay? Not of the sales, but urban consumption, because while rural recovery hasn't picked up the way we wanted, urban consumption has actually moderated a bit. At least festive season wasn't as great. Do you think, stuff like this, Black Friday sale and all of that is something that can spur the consumption?
Yeah, I think the main issue with the urban consumption is the fact that you had a significant leverage consumption that was happening till a few quarters back, and I think the key issue is also that the pace of growth of compensation is actually slackened and the cost of living is risen. So I think that is why we see a lot of inventory issues that are piling up with multiple segments. I think these sales things that are coming up essentially is an a bit to clear the inventories and stuff. So I think it does come as a bounty for the consumer, which is actually facing very high inflationary scenarios. So I think this is something that can boost some amount of volumes for the companies. We'll have to see what it does to the margins. So there can be a correction to the margins and stuff, and what does it imply for the profitability? Something that we'll need to see. But by and large, it does look like the festive demand has been much more modest and muted, and I think the companies are responding to the situation. Yeah, so I think that is what it is. I think the rural demand, I think most people are expecting a better situation in terms of recovery and all. Most of the companies, consumer companies, are telling us so. And I think there are some lead indicators which are also corroborating that with respect to the government spends and wage growth, etc. There is some positivity, a very modest one, but definitely there does seem to be some bottoming out there, which could actually reflect in the coming quarters as far as companies are concerned. So you need to really look at staples versus discretionary versus autos, etc. We need to sort of look at the entire thing in different perspective. So I don't think it can be very generic over here. Certain segments can actually do well. Certain companies can do well. Whosoever has pricing power, whosoever has better volume growth, are things that we are looking at. So we are more constructive on the consumption space. So we'll see. We have a certain set of names that we're looking at, but definitely we are looking at a better rural demand scenario.
Anything which is popping up from the new FNO name, which to your mind could become a classic buy now? Uresh?
Nothing really in terms of the new F&O names because most of these names have already done well over the years. But as a trade going forward on dips, Zomato could be interesting.
Well, here are some, I mean, it's not thoughts, but here's perhaps a very comprehensive 360-degree analysis on the quick commerce industry. And I can vouch for it. Everybody on the screen has used quick commerce more than once in last 1 month. And India is changing. Is it speed over price? Is it convenience which is taking over? Quick commerce seems to be the new gold rush. And when the gold rush happened, it changed the dynamics of American geography. It led to the birth of San Francisco. So what will quick commerce do? How will that change the face of modern retail? Who will be the winner? Will the winner take it all? Is this space going to be changing the way how Indians would be consuming and shopping? Is quick commerce eating into big box retail, or this is pure margin, market expansion? All that and much more on this very special series, 30-minute episode, which ET Now has really stitched it together for our viewers. So here's a sneak peek of as to what you should expect.